So this morning I'm going to use this article to segue into some scripture like Isaiah 14. And what I want to do from the very beginning is today, once you're done listening to this video, any of you who are listening to my voice, any of you, and all Jews, all who have positive association with the Jews or with Israel, do this. As soon as you are finished watching this video, if you don't have a suitcase of some sort, go get one. Make sure you go shop for extra clothing. Fill that suitcase with clothing and toothbrushes, toothpaste, etc. to prepare to go on a trip. Make sure that you already have your what do you call that? My mind's slipping this morning. The necessary things you need to travel out of the country. You know what I'm talking about. Passport. Make sure your passport is up to date. And here's the reason why. Tens of thousands of Ukrainian Jews to apply to make Aliyah. For many, this period of time is reminiscent of the late 1980s, when the Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir accurately predicted the opportunity the fall of the Soviet Union presented Israel. And of course, I commend Yitzhak Shamir for knowing what was going to happen after the fall of the Soviet Union. And he prepared for it. Folks, I don't think you understand what is about to happen, not just between Ukraine and Russia, but between Russia and NATO. More specifically, the United States of America. I don't think you realize what's about to happen. Well, neither did some of these people. I'll continue. See? Look. You see what's going on? Look at this. Some of them, all they've got is plastic bags to put their clothing in. They weren't prepared. You think it can't happen to you? I'm telling you, it will happen to you. What are you going to do about it? As Zivka Klein has reported in these pages, expectations are possibly tens of thousands of Ukrainian Jews will apply to make Aliyah and move to Israel in the coming months. Hundreds of additional applications have already been received from Russia as well, where many Jews fear the repercussions of the continued war on the economy and their personal freedom. For many, this period in time is reminiscent of the late 1980s, when then Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir accurately predicted the opportunity the fall of the Soviet Union presented Israel and mobilized the country to facilitate the arrival of approximately 1 million Olim in the years to follow. That immigration wave changed Israel for the better. Some think it didn't, but I think the more of the people of Israel, the more Jews assemble into Israel, and people who want to be grafted into Israel, I think the more the better. It reinforced the value of Israel's existence as a Jewish homeland. It brought skilled workers to the country, which helped grow the local high-tech industry, and it bolstered the Jewish majority in the country, forever a challenge in this region. Some of the stories playing out right now are harrowing. Gil Hoffman spent time this past week along the Moldovan-Ukrainian border where he met some Jewish refugees en route to Israel. One refugee was 89-year-old Anna Galanchka of Vinnytsia, Ukraine, who recalled escaping Nazi Germany as a child and once again is on the run. Speaking at a shelter in Dachia Marin, Moldova, organized by the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews and the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, she said that she had the same feelings of fear she did back then. I fled the Nazis and now I'm fleeing the Russians, she lamented. No one believed the Russians would do such a thing until the last minute when it happened. Alright, I'm telling you that nobody believed that Russia would do such a thing and start launching nukes at the United States and the rest of Europe. I'm telling you they will. So I've got my suitcase packed. I've got my passport ready. And when it happens, there will be millions and millions and millions of people coming into Israel. And there will be no way to sort out their status or their qualifications. Just won't be. At least not in the way that is used today. According to most estimates in Ukraine today, there are approximately 200,000 people who are eligible to emigrate to Israel under the law of return. In Russia, estimates range between 400 and 500,000. How many do you think the estimations are in the United States? 6 to 10 million, and we're not even talking about the lost tribes of Israel yet. How is the land going to hold them? The land is going to be spread out. The land is going to be broadened overnight. I've shown you scriptures to prove that point. Government officials claim that one of the reasons they are so careful in the language that they use to describe the war and in their condemnations of Vladimir Putin and Russia is that they do not want to give him a reason to make life difficult for Jews and then ban them from emigrating and moving to Israel. Well, folks in Israeli leadership, you need to understand this one thing. When this all breaks down, the two witnesses are going to demand with plagues that all of these people be brought back home. With plagues. This might be true, but the government does not seem to have a clear and strategic plan in place for how to get the Jews out of Ukraine and Israel, out of Ukraine and to Israel. Oh, there's going to be a plan. It's coming. You can rest assured that plan is coming. While the Foreign Ministry is working commendably along the borders with Ukraine, together with the Jewish agency, the IFCJ and the JDC, almost all the representatives have left Ukraine. This means that if a Ukrainian eligible for Aliyah wants to move to Israel, he or she first has to find a way to the border and then identify themselves to one of the groups of Foreign Ministry officials and then begin the bureaucratic process to be allowed into the Jewish state. Well, at the appointed time, which is probably right around the corner, there will be no time for bureaucratic process. There won't be any time for that. But that time will be a short time when the doors are open, and you have that short time to get your butt to Israel, and then the door will be shut. The government has thankfully taken some steps at making the acclimation to Israel easier. Well, it's going to have to get a whole lot easier. The acclimation is going to be, let me tell you something, for just 200,000 Ukrainians, wait till you get to the 6 to 10 million Jews and then the rest of Israel. And the Gentiles who want to be grafted into Israel. Wait till that time comes. The doors are going to be busted wide open. Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in. Bring everyone associated with Israel in. Quickly. Tamano Shata has also ordered her ministry to recognize Olim from Ukraine as immigrants escaping a war zone, thereby making them eligible to receive a larger government Aliyah grant. A single Ole would now receive, well, you see the numbers here. And it says Prime Minister Naftali Bennett should study the way Shamir organized a mass Aliyah from the former Soviet Union just 30 years ago and replicate those steps that were successful. Yitzhak Shamir's steps are not going to be enough for what's coming. So as we read here, this woman who fled Nazi Germany as a child, she said that no one believed the Russians would do such a thing until the last minute when it happened. I've showed you in videos over and over and over again that even in Revelation 9, the second woe, it even describes the Yars ICBM launchers that were going to be used to cause 1/3 of man to be destroyed. And they are the Russian Yars ICBM launchers. I proved that in one of my previous videos. And who do you think is going to be a recipient of those missiles? Look. Let me show you something, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here. Okay, Putin at his long table. All right. Let's look at this for a second. I don't know if you can see this or not. The Guardian did an article, and he does this, Vladimir Putin does this a lot. Putin's massive table, power play or paranoia? You know what it is. Not a power play. It's paranoia. Let's see if we can pull this article up. I saw him at the same table with others just yesterday. Russia's leader is using a 5-meter table for one-on-one meetings, but is this a super cautious COVID measure? No. See that? That is extreme paranoia. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be a psychiatrist to know that that is extreme paranoia. Now let's Google extreme paranoia. Paranoia is the feeling that you're being threatened in some way, such as people watching you or acting against you. Even though there is no proof that's true, it happens to a lot of people at some point. Well, paranoia is normal in most cases, but extreme paranoia. Clinical paranoia is more severe. It's a rare mental health condition in which you believe that others are unfair or lying or actively trying to harm you when there's no proof. You don't think you're paranoid at all because you feel sure that it's true. As the old saying goes, it isn't paranoia if they're really out to get you. All right? Now, symptoms of paranoia can include being defensive, hostile, and aggressive. Check, check, and check. Being easily offended. Yep. Believing that you are always right and having trouble relaxing or letting your guard down. Not being able to compromise, forgive, or accept criticism, not being able to trust or confide in other people, reading hidden meanings into people's normal behavior. Now, so obviously he is extremely paranoid. Those people are extremely dangerous. It is extremely dangerous to have the world's #1 arsenal of nuclear weapons in the hands of a man who is doing this. The scripture tells you in 3 different places that this nuclear event is going to occur with precise accuracy. Who do you think then will be his target? Well, it will be his #1 enemy. Now, let's go to Genesis 9 very quickly. The people of Japheth were given the great blessing in the time before the rising of the sons of Shem. The representative of the sons of Shem today is Israel. In the blessings and the cursing, Noah said, "And blessed be Jehovah," not Lord, Elohim, not God, of Shem. So, the greatest blessing fell upon Shem. That would be the blessing in the end, in the after part, as it is written in the Hebrew Scriptures. And Canaan shall be his servant. And of course, Canaan's land was given to Israel. This blessing was not the same for Japheth. It says Elohim will enlarge. The word pathah means spacious and wide open. He's going to get the very most land by far. Unquestionably, well, as I pointed out to you in maps before, Shem got the least in this age. Shem got the least. Japheth got the most in this age. What is the finality? What is the end in the next age? The next age is but he will have to dwell in the tents of Shem. And of course, Canaan was also Japheth's servant, as we see with Kazakhstan, Turkestan, Uzbekistan, and all the stands of the Canaanite nations. Hittite, to be more specific. So now, we are going to switch from this, Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, to he ends up dwelling in the tents of Shem. The blessings switch from age to age. And we see over and over and over again in the scripture, at least 3 times, that the sons of Japheth are going to reduce their own numbers by firing nukes at each other. And if you think that the emergency for the Jews in Ukraine is something, wait till you see the emergency for the Jews in the United States of America and in Europe when this nuclear exchange takes place. So I'm asking all of you, Jews or any non-Jew who want to have affiliation with Israel, who pledge your allegiance to the Moshiach of Israel, stop what you're doing. Go to Walmart or wherever you can find suitcases of any sort, luggage carriers, whatever. Don't let yourself become like, did I miss? Yeah. Don't let yourself become like this. Don't do that. They saw this. They should have seen this coming a long time. But I guess it's better to have plastic bag to carry your clothes in than nothing at all. Be ready, please. I beg of you, because this is going to happen here. That is a guarantee. So be ready. If you don't have, buy you some your essential clothing and fill it up. Be ready.